absolutely. I cry often, more often than I care to admit. But it's always something that triggers it for some reason. It's not necessarily someone crying that makes me cry, but I definitely had it pretty well behind the camera. I'll kind of like cover my face or whatever, because the day is not about me crying, it's about capturing their story and all that. So I feel like me crying could take away something out of their day. I don't know, but I do remember clearly when I cry what triggers it. Like for instance, I had a wedding like 3 years ago, and the groom, he was very much in love with the bride, and throughout the day you get to know them. I'm very, very, very close and personal to them. So he said during the vows, he was crying already, and he said during the vows, looking at her dead in the eye, "You are the single best thing that has ever happened to me." And the way he said that, it was so touching that I was like red out of, ball crying like that. So I have many, many examples of that, and I always remember what happened that triggered it. The most recently was a completely different one. Throughout the day, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, throughout the day, the father of the bride was not there. He passed away, and it was a very sensitive subject for everybody. And the day goes by, they're getting ready and all that, and it's like somebody is missing, and then by the time we get to the speeches, the godfather of the bride took the mic for to share a couple of words, and he just started by saying, I'm here on behalf of another gentleman. And I lost it. Like, I was... So yeah, I cry. Well, what do I love to photograph is whatever resonates with the people. It's what naturally draws my attention. But on a day, there's certain parts of the day that are more special for some people. That there are some days that are some parts that are more special for other people. So I would say that what I love to photograph the most on a wedding day, it has to be something that is very, very personal to the couple. Like, for instance, sometimes it's the first look with dad, or maybe sometimes it's the first look with the reveal for the bride and groom. Like, they having a moment, and it's because they've been looking forward to that, and that's what kind of like gets my attention. That's what I love the most. Sometimes people they all want to just party, and they're looking forward to the reception from the very beginning of the day. So that's what I'm the most excited about. When I get to the reception, I want to see them dancing and having a good time, and that's what I love to capture. So thank you for the question, Janka. Well, it's more like a half and half kind of thing. I wish there was a script every time, but there isn't. We do have like wedding consultation before the wedding, so that I get to know them a little bit, and then that's something that I can that I can take into account when I'm shooting them in the day, to tell the story and all that. And I essentially ask questions about how their families are and how did they met, or stuff that could be important for them, and also like a lot of details about how their wedding day is. So there's a lot of rules, like what time is the ceremony and what time the reception, and all those are times that are set and that you have to work around it. Also, the time that they give you for those kind of like photo shoot is also limited. So you work around those limitations, but that's as far as the limits and the rules go. So you work around those limitations to actually tell the story. That's where the script goes into play. Like if I'm shooting a couple that has been away and a long distance relationship, maybe I'll include some of those elements into the way their photo shoot goes. And it's just a matter of how they feel about it as well. It's just sometimes that was a little bit too painful for them, and they don't want
any of the photo shoot to be around that. So it is on a couple basis kind of thing, more than, but the plan is always to make all the decisions prior to the wedding. So you do a lot of those decisions, you take them during the pre-consultation wedding. So during the pre-consultation meeting. So that way you put everything in paper and you know what to expect and you know what you're looking forward to on the day. Thank you, Plin, for the question.
Well, that's a tough question. It's a really tough question, actually. But I gotta say that on every wedding I have, I mean, something about the wedding stays with me, and I can recall stuff from random events from years, yeah, like from many years ago. A little stuff that's something that I kept with me forever. I don't know why, but it is something that just happens. But there's one particular wedding, if I had to pick, that kind of like stuck with me, and I don't know, I hold it very dear to my heart. It was not a fancy wedding at all. It was actually very modest. I remember that the guy was a gardener, kind of like that. We had a lot of stuff going on, from a limousine breaking down to a DJ who didn't know what he was doing. And at some point during the reception, I had to kind of like take over of the logistics to actually cover some formalities and all that. And they were also doing some traditions. I remember that the bride was from German heritage, so they were doing some sort of stuff. But it was all kind of like it was like juggling. It was a non-stop 8.5 hours of coverage that we did everything we could to actually make it happen for everyone. And I kid you not, everything happened in that wedding. And by the end of it, like, once, I'll give you another thing. Like, for some reason, one of the ladies that was picking up the plates and all that, they started like cleaning all those plates in the middle of like on one of the corners of the reception hall. So the venue was like a really tiny mansion in somewhere in Staten Island, and I don't know why they were doing that, but they were cleaning the dishes on the corner of the dance floor. It was so weird. So since no one was responsible about anything, and I was kind of like taking care of the stuff and kind of like finding the angles to do like a cake cutting without the dishwasher in the back or something like that. It was all like that. It was all like juggling, right? At the end of the night, we were just hugging and crying together. It was so emotional and all that. And I still, we're still in touch and all that after that. I really hold like that wedding really close to me for the whole struggle, and to make it work for them in that way. It was just amazing experience. And that also taught me a lot about there are no challenges that I cannot overcome in this, as long as I'm given the time, and not even perfect time, but just a little bit of time. And there's nothing we cannot just move forward, and let's keep doing it and keep working, and we're gonna make this happen, and it's gonna look good, and everybody's gonna be okay and all that. And I don't know, it's a very important wedding for me. I gotta say it's my favorite. So thank you for the question.